a very, very good afternoon to all of you. So on behalf of HarperCollins Publishers Private Limited, I welcome all of you to the session on all about blog writing. HarperCollins as a brand has completed 200 years globally and more than 25 years in India. HarperCollins India is one of the world's largest entertainment to education publishers. At HarperCollins Publishers India, we believe in telling the best stories and ensuring that these stories reach everybody. We have had the pleasure of publishing some of the finest writers from the Indian subcontinent and around the world, publishing approximately 250 new books every year, with a print and a digital catalog of more than 2,000 titles across 10 prints and an array of genres. Our catalog has a book for every reader. So we are really looking forward to this session as a platform for you to learn all about blog writing. We would request you to use the chat window to interact with us. And in case you need to talk to us, you can raise your hand and we would unmute you. So without further ado, I would request Mrs. Tandon now from QEDRAK to introduce the resource person for today's session. Over to you, Mrs. Tandon.
Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to the bloggers, aspiring bloggers, and Bombay Scottish literati from Team QEDRAK. We offer educational solutions for enrichment, empowerment, and future readiness to all stakeholders in the education space. Today, Team QEDRAK brings on the table ways to spruce up blogging skills that will enable budding bloggers become happening bloggers. Well, young friends, we have with us two dynamic mentors and speakers for the day, Ms. Ishita Verma and Mr. Sunil Mansingh. Both are gifted writers, orators, and literary scholars. Ms. Verma has been in the field of education and training for the last 30 years, working with educational organizations across Delhi, Bhubaneswar, and Vadodara. From setting up and managing CBSE schools to designing systems for teaching learning processes, she has under her belt script writing for plays and concerts, creation of audiobooks, education-related articles for the Indian Express, content writing, podcasts, and blogs. Our second speaker, Mr. Mansingh, has an illustrious career as an educator, radio jockey, scriptwriter, actor, journalist, writer, and photographer. His repertoire includes poems that have been published by the International Library of Poetry, myriad features and articles across multiple editions as a senior features writer with the Times of India Group, and 2 coffee table books, Unearthing Gems of Kumaon and The Playing Fields of Sherwood, commemorating the sesquicentenary of Sherwood College, Nainital. Presently, he's working on a podcast series to be launched by the end of the year, along with a book on the lesser-known aspects of the Kumbh Mela. So let's hear it for them. Over to you, Ishita ma'am.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Or should I say hello in action and future bloggers of Bombay Scottish School, Powai. The session we are all tuned in today has a few assumptions. It assumes that most of you know what blogging essentially is. A few of you are actively blogging, while many of you want to know more about it and whether it's something that's up your street or even how to start. And many of you, I believe, are active bloggers, but you aren't getting the tips and tricks to know how to manage blogging, because blogging can be really, really demanding. Or perhaps you just need tips of how to make it a very, very happening activity. Anyway, whatever be your reason, welcome to Spruce Up the Blog. This is a session at the end of which we hope to make you better informed about blogs and blog content, about how to do effective writing, the look and feel of the blog, netiquette, very important, reader engagement, and of course, in summary, bearing in mind some very important do's and don'ts. Now, the section on blogs and blog content will cover a very brief insight into all of these topics that are listed on the slide. Now, just to bring you all onto the same page, let's rewind the clock a little and see where all of this actually started. It started with diary and journal writing. So this is a good time to engage all of you into our session today. So get ready with Mentimeter. Now, I hope all of you know what Mentimeter is. So if you can log in with Mentimeter and you can take a quick poll that will tell us a little bit about you, right? So go to www.menti.com and use the code that has been listed on the slide to let you in on the polling session. Now, this poll is going to tell us a little bit about what your habit in recording your life and experiences. So do you maintain a daily diary? Are you the occasional journal kinds? Or you just don't do any of this activity? Those are fast responses. You can see very dynamically how it's all shifting. Come on, children. I know there are lots more of you in the session today, so let's see those numbers climbing up. So as of now, we see that there are a larger number of children who are casual journal entry writers and almost level with those who do have a diary or don't do any recording at all, which is not a bad thing, but you can always start. So we have almost 50 plus people in. Okay, so that seems to have frozen. Is that all? Or are we still waiting? Come on, kids. Quick, quick, quick. www.menti.com, and then you have to use the code 83794366. Right. So basically what we have seen is most of you are into very casual journal writing, right? Now the desire to maintain records and details of our lives is as old as handwriting. By the way, did you know that the modern organized and chronicled diary actually had its origin way back in the 15th century in Italy when people had to make records of accounts for finances? And later, the diaries kept records of medical history of patients, of public events, of disasters that happened in nature, agrarian stocks, etc., etc. And gradually, the focus of diaries shifted from that to recording personal events, personal life experiences, and personal feelings. In the 1980s, diary entries and journaling found its way into the public school system. Those were called dialogues, and they allowed children like you ways and means to introspect, reflect, and develop independent thinking skills or some creative burst. And on the other side, it allowed the teachers a way to provide customized individual feedback. So if you haven't tried it, why don't you give it a shot, and you just might discover something you've been missing for a long time. There is, however, a dilemma when you start journaling and writing. So journal and diary keeping always have this dichotomy, the desire to express and make it visible, or the urge to keep it secret and hidden. So let's get a feel again through your Mentimeter poll about your participation and engagement. So back to the Mentimeter, www.menti.com, and key in the code 83245296. I repeat, 83245296. We request you to use this poll platform to select the option that you think best fits who you are. Let's see how many of you are already into writing and sharing with others. Many of us write and we try to keep it to ourselves. Many of us share it within a small group, and many of us make it really public. So all of you, once again, www.menti.com, and the code is 83245296. Okay, I think there seems to be a technical problem here. So maybe you can just enter it into your chat. Let's see the chat entries. How many of you are blogging or podcasting, or you're on any of the social media? Since the Mentimeter isn't working, sorry about that. But you can post into the chat window so we get a fair idea how many of you are already bloggers, already podcast people, right? Okay, so moving along. It was only in the late 20th and early 21st century that we saw that writing shifted from the paper handwritten writing form into published books, and then to publishing on the digital space on the World Wide Web, with the desire to make personal jottings, views, and feelings very public and known to others. And that, my friend, is what we call blogging. So today we see all kinds of blogging content. So here are just a few from the wide range available. So the different types of digital content that you see outside are all listed over here, but that's just a glimpse of what's going on in the virtual space, right? Also, there are various types of blogs covering a wide range of topics and interest areas. So let's take a look at that right now. Next. So while you go through these, you must realize that at no time in history has it been easier for you and us to share our ideas with a mass group of people outside. Anything and everything that can interest a person can become a blog topic. Purposeful theme-based topics, or even wacky, weird, very debatable, controversial ones. So whatever you like, you can debate on it, right? So this is just a glimpse of whatever are some of the blogs that are very popularly visited by readers on the net. Right, now moving along, blogging is here to stay, and it is going to continue to evolve as a leisurely daily post sharing on common interest, or maybe an informative knowledge-based article, or even a lucrative career option for hardcore writers. However, right now for you students, our focus is just to inspire you to find yourself, identify your interest, give expression to your inner voice so that you can share and express with clarity, depth, and confidence, especially when you engage yourself in something like blogging. So you can start with diary writing if you haven't done it, move into something a little more formal, and then you can launch yourself into the blogging domain. Now, in order to ride smooth with blogging, we need to ensure that every single part of that is Mr. Mansingh here? Sunil Mansingh? Kindly unmute me. Okay, where is he? I can't find him on the...
Hello. Yeah,
Yes.
am I audible?
Yes, you are.
For a moment, I was speechless.
Literally so.
Now, well, it's nice to be here. And the fact that we are going to be talking about effective writing and that content is king. Before we do that, can we just have everybody do a little quick response on the Mentimeter once again? I hope it works this time. What, according to you, is one characteristic of good writing? All right, kids, everybody go to www.menti.com and use the code 19576581. That's 19576581, and put in one characteristic of good writing there. Should you wish, you can put it in the chat box also in case you have a problem with the Mentimeter. All right, good. Vocabulary. Inspiring, helpful, creative. Yes, we can see it growing. We can see it growing. Good. Passion for writing, helpful, connect with the reader, good vocabulary, motivating, authentic, impactful, innovative, good language, good vocabulary, connect with the audience, expression, imagination, plot, in-depth, explanation of the story, personal, gives a good impact, catchiness. Wow, that's nice. I mean, so all of you writing, you're already writing. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. Great, great, great. Lovely responses. Broadens the mind. Okay. Character development. Wow. So this gives us a fair idea of writing. Now, all of you write on a daily basis. So far, your writing has been restricted largely to two types of writing. One is the writing in the classroom, which you do for your assignments and your examinations. But the other writing is the one that we're talking about, the writing that you don't put out into the world. I was seeing the responses earlier. Most of you are writing, but not putting it out. Now, writing is a process. Please understand that. It is a process. And it is a process of inquiry. It grows and changes over time. As you will develop over the period of time, you shall find that the way you write changes. There are 5 distinct steps, at least 5. I'm not saying that these are the only 5 steps. There could be a lot more variations to it, just like any other thing, any other subject that we talk about. You have pre-writing, then you have outlining, drafting, revising, and editing. Now, so far, the kind of writing that you've been doing in your school is linear writing. When you read a book, there's a particular order to it. But the writing we're talking of is recursive. When you write something, and when you write, see, even if it is on the social media, whether you're chatting with your friends, or you're on Snapchat, or you're on Insta, you are writing direct messages, you understand that there is a process that you think. So formal writing involves the first step is pre-writing, which is thinking, taking notes. You talk to others, you do your research, you brainstorm, and you start outlining. You gather information. You might have to talk to people. You might go to the net. You might access data from the internet. You might read in a library. But please understand that no matter what you do, even if you're pre-writing or you're doing a first draft, ideation is a process that continues in your mind. The ideas keep coming. They keep coming. So when you write, you have to think, why am I writing? Writers write for people to read. Now, these people could be a very small, limited audience, or they could be people out in the world. So you have to be very clear in the idea of your writing. Can we move to the next slide, please? All right. Now comes the second part, which is drafting. You put out your sentences, you create paragraphs, you have a rough draft. And then you see that, all right, this is one idea and this is another idea. How do I connect the two? There has to be cohesion in the two ideas that are there. Every story, every bit of writing has an introduction. It has to have one logical argument, and it has to have a logical conclusion. Unless, of course, you're doing a series and you want people to come back to you writing more and more. Now, this step entirely, the pre-writing and the drafting, they are writer-centric because you are the one taking a call. What do you know about this? What do you think about this? And what do you want to present out into the world? So this is your step. From drafting, you move on to the next step, which is revising and redrafting. Now, this is a very, very critical part of it. Why do we need to revise? We need to revise because we have to be sure that what we are writing is an effective document. It should be able to connect to somebody. Now, there's a slight change here. From being writer-centric, you move towards being reader-centric. Would my reader like to read the story? Would my reader like to? Lines will tell you, your opening lines will tell you what this is all about. Now, can you imagine walking into a house or an apartment or a school or a building or a mall, and the first thing that greets you is the washroom? That would be ludicrous. That would be ludicrous. You would say, my God, I mean, I don't want to be here. I really don't want to be here. So you enter. Now, then you start seeing there is a lobby, there is a room on the right, there's a bedroom, there's a drawing room, there's a kitchen. If there's a first floor, then there has to be a staircase that connects the ground floor to the first floor. You don't expect people to be like Tarzan, jumping from one floor to the other without a staircase in between. So you need to understand that there has to be cohesion. Every room, every bit of writing has to be connected to each other. So from here, when you've done your revising and your redrafting, then you come on to what we know as the next step, which is editing and proofreading. Now, please understand, editing and proofreading are two very different activities, but they are both very closely connected to each other. When you edit, you will check for grammar, you will check for the mechanisms, the mechanics of writing, you will check for spelling, you will have typos and stylistic errors, which you need to change out. You will have to read the piece in two ways. One, paragraph by paragraph, and then read the entire thing. Some of the things that you can do when you are trying to proofread or edit, please understand that when you're writing something, there is always another thought which might creep in. So first, when your first draft is ready and you have some kind of an outline, leave it for a moment, maybe 10 minutes, maybe half an hour. Come back to it. Come back to it after some time. When you come back to it, another idea might come in. Say, all right, maybe this paragraph needs to move up. Maybe I don't need this here. So you change the entire structure. You make logical changes, you make structural changes, you reorder, you reformulate your arguments and information. You look at the sentence structure, you look at phrasing, and then you see that, all right, am I being very clear? Am I being concise? Am I conveying what I really need to convey? Now, when you proofread, then you look at the whole thing with a very fine lens under a magnifying glass. You will check for commas, you will check for punctuation, you will check for spellings. These are things you need to check. But please understand, do not, I repeat, do not think of doing an edit or a proofread all in one go. Don't do that, because you're constantly at the document. You're looking at the document all the time, and the brain will freeze after a while. It says, okay, this is it. This is the final word. No, that's not the final word. That's not the final word. So what you do is, first, you take a printout, or maybe leave it on your desktop or your laptop, change the font size. When you change the font size, you're actually tricking your brain into thinking this is another document. Or you change the fonts altogether. So you say, oh, this is another document. So the brain says, all right, there's something different. Let me look at it again. Very importantly, please read it aloud. When you read it aloud, it makes sense to you. Is it making sense to you? Yes. When you read it aloud, it's a different thing. When you're not reading it aloud, then you're simply going with the flow. You have assumed that what I have written is the best thing. Get somebody to read it. It could be your best friend. It could be your teacher. It could be your parents. It could be anybody you trust. Now, once you've done your proofreading, you've done your editing, you have some kind of an article which is ready to go out into the world. But before it goes out into the world, you need to... Can we have the next slide, please? All right. Now, this is the important part. Before you put it out, be sure about the voice, the tone, the tenor, and the style of your writing. Who is your audience? Now, all of you, you talk to your friends, you talk to your peers, you talk to your elders. Is the language that you use the same? Can you just have a small show of hands? Do you use the same language you use with your friends that you use with your parents or teachers or elders? All right. So most of you agree that, the language is different. So the tone and tenor will be different. You can't go to your teacher in the staff room and say, y'all be checking out my piece of writing. That's not the language you use. You say, this means trouble. This means trouble. So you have to understand that, there is slang, there's jargon, there are idiomatic expressions which are specific to specific groups. You see, the reason I was looking at what your responses earlier, most of you write, but you don't put it out. You know why? Because that's a piece of you. It's a piece of you. It is very, very precious to you. And you're not putting it out because A, you fear that somebody might judge you on the basis of that. B, you fear, oh, this is so close to me. It's a piece of my heart and soul that I'm putting out into the world. Are people going to use this information against me? Are they going to quote it? Are my friends going to say after 2 years, oh, you wrote this about so-and-so? Nah. You write, put it out. There will be criticism any which way. When you write, be honest in your writing. Be honest in your writing. You must use language that is as far as possible very true. Don't use deceitful language or euphemisms. For example, these days, you find people saying, I'm in between jobs. So people accept it. All right, he's in between jobs. But in point of fact, he's actually unemployed. He's unemployed. He doesn't have a job. Now, it's better than saying I'm jobless. Some people would say that it's better than saying I'm jobless. But, well, that is also one way of looking at it. But when you're talking about yourself, be honest, say, I don't have jobs. For the moment, I'm also jobless. I've taken a sabbatical from work. I am jobless. But yes, I have actually taken a sabbatical. I've taken a leave. So I don't mind saying that. Also, please understand that the world is very different today. You're living in a world that is connected. It is connected to each other in such a cohesive entity. Information moves like this. But please understand, all the information out there may not be entirely true. Also, when you write, avoid expressions which have a racial or an ethnic or a gender bias. Instead of saying, she is a lady doctor, she is a doctor. She's a doctor, period. You are moving towards we're moving towards a world which is slowly and gradually ensuring that we become inclusive. So when you include, you will have to look at the fact that inadvertently you do not offend somebody with your writing. Gone are those days when you could say anything to anybody and walk away. But please understand, what you're doing is writing, you're putting it out. It is in print. If you're speaking something, if you're saying something, you can always take an excuse that you have misunderstood. I don't know how many of you have seen a motion picture called Finding Forrester. There's a wonderful line in which, William Forrester is talking to this boy, Jamal, and he was watching him at the basketball game. So Jamal deliberately misses a basketball shot in the end. And what does Forrester ask him? He says, in the basketball game, about the last shot, did you miss the shot or did you miss the shot? Mm-hmm. Now look at the emphasis. The emphasis is different, but it is on the word miss, but the meaning is different. So that is also something you need to watch out for. Can we have the next slide, please?
It's the look.
Now, I have told you the basics of writing. And please remember, you're living in a world which is what looks good sells well. So we come to the look. So Ishita is going to be talking about the look, and we'll come back later.
Thank you, Sunil. Thanks very much for such a deep understanding of how writing and proofing and editing, all that is so important. Well, students, I must tell you, whether you're blogging or not, I think the practices that Sunil sir spoke about are relevant even for your writing on a day-to-day basis, whether you're writing into your notebooks or you're free writing in a diary or you're writing onto the virtual space. So keep those points in mind. And of course, now let's take at the look. In this segment, we will take a very brief look at the following aspects, which cover aesthetic, structure, highlighting various aspects like quotes and links, and of course, adding visualization. So let's move on. It is very rightly said that earth without art is just So if content is king, then the look is queen. So apart from visual imagery through writing, we must also address the visually tangible looks of the blog or the blog post. So let's move on to the next slide and take a look at what does the structure of the look mean when we are talking about blog pages and blog posts. There are two aspects we will cover. The first is organization, which essentially relates to the manner in which the blog, the treat on the table has been spread out. You've organized a party, and the manner in which you've laid out everything on the table and where you've put the empty glasses and plates and cutlery and other fine, all that stuff, that is your organization part. The aesthetic part is the frills, decoration, cosmetic, the one that gives you makes you feel good about it. That's the cosmetic part of it. Now, under organization, we'll be covering menus and bars, social media, search options, and categories. And under aesthetics, we'll be covering colors and fonts, graphics, featured images, and the understanding that less is always more. At the end of it, we hope to help you transform a very plain-looking blog space into something that's very attractive and appealing. Now, under organization, you will need to ensure that you start with the right theme. Because when you select a theme, so most of you will be starting blogging, the very easy, the sites that allows you to host, you can try with either Wixie or you can do Bluehost from WordPress. They give you a very nice and easy introduction into blogging, but make sure you have the right theme. It should be well organized and gives you a little scope for customizing it to make it look like who you are. Have a header menu, like most, websites also have the header menu. So have a header menu, and it's really important that under that you arrange your sub menu. So if there is a main heading under which you have certain categories listed, make sure when the mouse hovers over it and clicks, you have the subheading menus also listed very nicely. Featured image, which will in a short tell the reader or the viewer, what are you blogging about? So the featured image, which comes right on the top, needs to connect very deeply with what you're going to be writing about, your topic, your area of interest, or your voice. And like most blogging sites, there is always a sidebar. So your social media connects, the search option bar over there, people can search on the category or a topic, as well as the categories can all be shifted to the right-hand side, which is very visually appealing and easy to handle, right? When we look at aesthetics, take a look at this print, which is on the left. It's plain. There are no colors, no visuals, nothing, right? So when you look at the aesthetic part of it, you need to have in mind the consistency of the color scheme, consistency in the font, style, and size. Graphics, you can use free vector images and you can edit it with Adobe or a host of other apps that are available on the web. Then you have to have a relevance of the visual support. Don't just put pictures out there because pictures make something more appealing to read. The visual that you use has to support the body of the text. So whatever you're writing about, if you're positioning a picture there, make sure there is a relevance to the text content. Of course, you can also highlight your written piece with very appropriate quotes. And I know you kids love quotes. I remember my time in school when we used to have debate and declamation competitions. We would always make this very powerful opening of our debate with a quote by some very famous person. So yes, quotes have value because quotes makes us connect with something which is like a message carried on through generations, which has relevance even today. So using a quote is a great idea. And of course, you can also have links. So it could be links which could be to, your previous blogs or other blogs. And the latest are parallax effects, which are basically, audio-based slide share. There's an animated slide movement thing which you can also insert into your blog post. So basically, when you're talking about the visual imagery through visual content on your blog, remember, it speaks 1,000 words. You're going to capture your reader in just a jiffy the moment you're on that blog page. A very complex idea, when I look at a picture, I'm able to simplify it because I, as a human being, and you, all of us as human beings, we connect better when there is a multi-sensory, sort of an input coming in from everywhere. So it's not just text. Maybe there's a video playing, so there's audio and visual happening along with text. Then our reception is much better. But having said that, make sure that your blogging or articles are not cluttered with too much of visualization. So that's something you would want to see. So here is a blog that we have posted on our website. It's about engaging kids in the legacy that parents may want to leave for them. So as you can see, there is that image header. The written part is well supported with the visuals. For each particular paragraph and subheading, a supporting visual tells you what that paragraph is about. So this is an example of what is a good blog post, which has visuals as well as colors, font, arrangement, and images, right? So moving on, let's move on. When you are using images, you'll have to be a little careful because everything that's out there is not free. You may have to be a little careful about copyright violation. So play it safe. There are two ways in which you can use these images. So some of them, like iStock from Getty and all, they are titled as royalty free. Now, royalty free does not mean that they are free to be used for any purpose. Royalty free means you don't pay the royalty on it, but for the instance that you're using it, you may have to pay a little amount. And of course, then you have the Creative Commons, which is where there is a host of images which you can use for your presentations, but you must mention the credits from where you have got that image from. So whenever you're posting an image, don't forget. And this is a good site to, these are some of the image sites that you may want to explore. So if you like, we can share this with you later. So here is a list. Some of them are paid, some of them are free common, sites from where you can take it and you can just give it with your credit. So moving along, here is an example of a site that's really not visited well. Now you can know why. Take a look at that header image. Take a look at the way it's been arranged. Take a look at how the text is just completely covering the image, right? So this is an not good. Here's another example, a complete visual overload. We don't want to have our blog pages looking like this. But then again, here is an example of a really nicely arranged blog page. These are the wow blog pages. So Kate has her cookie blog where she's sharing recipes. You're all familiar with TED. So this is the TED blog page. Here's another example of Huffington Post. By the way, HuffPost, you can visit HuffPost. It's a very popular blog site, and they have a lot of articles which may be of interest to you, or maybe perhaps when you're a little older. And here's another one, the last one of the good blog arrangement, and that is Into, which is for students, by the way, especially when you are looking for higher studies, right? So when we are moving on to aesthetically highlighting elements in a blog, let's begin with using quotes. I spoke about quotes. So you are familiar with why we use quotes. It's all listed there, and I don't need to mention it. And if you have an intra school kind of a blog experience, and it's an article that has been written by your teachers, then you can even put your voice into it, right? So there are various ways in which you can highlight a quote. If it's in plain text, you can box it with that vertical line, which your blog provider gives you the service, right? This one is a visually attractive quote that has been prepared in Canva. And the last example I'd like to show you is a quote that has been beautifully prepared in Adobe Spark. So you can choose how you want to use the quote. Just like quotes, as I mentioned, you can also add links, because links give credibility to your post. It tells everyone that you've actually researched, you've taken a lot of time to write your post, and where have you taken the referral information from. It also allows readers to read further and get depth in what the understanding of your blog post is, right? So you could be doing it to internal links of previous blogs that you have posted, or you could have external links that are opening up other web pages. But basically, it helps the reader to get into the flow of enjoying your article. So here are some of the rules for the links. Make sure that the link you are addressing and including in your blog is from a very trustworthy site, and not one of those ones that just creep into your system and then either plant a virus or just give you absolute hogwash information. Try not to, if you really want to make yourself unique, then don't try to give links to people who are also writing about your topics, because you may shift the reader's attention from following you to following that person. You must read them in order to get a better depth of who else is writing about the topic, but try not to link into somebody who's writing parallelly on the same topic at the same age, at the same level, right? Avoid linking to the same page too many times into the same post, and don't give more than 3 links in one paragraph of text, because then it becomes too much of a clutter and then the reader loses focus. So when you use links, this is what your page is going to look like. You will find that the hyperlinked words are always in a different color, and when you hover the mouse over it, it becomes a pointed finger, and then when you click on it, it will open into another place, right? So in brief, what Sunil sir spoke about and what I spoke about, the content and the look, in a nutshell, this is how you need to work on it. And do ensure that through the entire process, you are coming out through the expression. You are coming out through your text form. You are coming out through your selection of images. You are coming out through your liking certain quotes, referral items. All of that is in place, right? So now, here are some of the really useful, because we also use it. If you can take a snapshot of this, or if you want us to share it later, these are really useful content writing tools. I have given a description of what each one of these tools helps you to do. So they are all, most of them are AI powered, and they help you with your editing, proofing, as well as knowing whether plagiarism has happened. If somebody has shared a blog post and says, hey, can you read it? You can run it through the plagiarism checker and see whether someone else has written about it and it's just been copy pasted. So this is a whole range. I'm not going to read them all out, but you can take a look at what these tools are. And I'm sure they will help you get along your way in blogging and writing good blogs with good image and visual concepts, right? Now over to you, Sunil sir, to help our children understand what are netiquette rules when they go online.
The host. Hello, 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 hello. My God, I'm stumped. I'm stumped. I become speechless every time I have to speak, you know. It scares the daylights out of me. Well, but Ishita actually gave a wonderful presentation, and so I was also stumped, just as all of you are. Now, we are coming to a part of writing which is called netiquette. The word derived from net and etiquette. Netiquette. All of you use the social media. You all know that you shouldn't be typing in all caps. That means shouting. There are certain emoticons which are there. Don't use them. Use appropriate language and appropriate content. Please be courteous. Watch your language, just as you need to watch your language at home, in school, in social settings, in formal settings, wherever you are. Please understand, whatever goes on the net stays on the net.
Yep.
Please understand that. Whatever you put out on the net will be on some server somewhere. It just needs a very smart, tech-savvy person to get it out from there. Recently, you might see, if you look at the US elections, or for that matter, even in India, you know, people draw tweets from 10 years back, 5 years back, 6 years back, and say, oh, this is what you said. So this is what you actually are. This is not what you claim to be now is not what you are. So you've got to be careful about putting things out in the net. Don't plagiarize. Like Ishita ma'am said, if you borrow something, get permission, give them credit. Get permission and give them credit. I'll tell you a personal example. In 2010, when the Kumbh Mela was being held, I saw this, sadhu. He was putting on the Fuller's earth, which is Multani Mitti, and which is not ash. Generally, the Naga sadhus, they put on ash. So I looked at it and I said, this is very nice. And I picked up my camera and I took a photograph, and he called me. And he called me out and he gave me one and he said, will you take permission from me or not? And I immediately realized that, I had goofed up. So I deleted it. I deleted the image in front of him. I apologized and I walked off. But I learned a very important lesson. Take permission. If you're denied permission, don't use that picture. Don't use that visual. Also, if somebody is quoting something, if somebody has quoted something, use their entire quote. Do not take things out of context and write. The entire quote should be used in context. And also remember, when you write, there are certain facts that will come your way. But just because it is a fact, it does not mean that you should use it. Please use your discretion. Please use your discretion. And remember, everybody talks about freedom of expression. Your freedom of expression ends where the tip of my nose begins. Please understand that. We're living in a day, in an age where we are not pausing, where we want instant justice, we want instant answers. And the sensibilities are very high strung. So what happens is, please understand, somebody can get offended by what you write. Be careful in the choice of your words, in the choice of your language. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to write. People will have an opinion of you, of your writing. You might get trolled. You might have people, writing or saying all kinds of things to you or about your writing. They might comment about it. But here you need to make a very vital decision. Please understand, whatever the person is saying, it is a reaction to what you have written. It is a reaction to an opinion that you have put out. It is not about you personally. So don't take it personally. Don't take it to heart. Keep writing, be happy, and understand your first drafts be written with your heart. The second drafts could be using the mind also. Be honest to yourself, find your own voice, be courteous, just as you know that if I am nice and courteous and I have good manners, it'll get me to a lot of good places. It'll help me get in with a lot of people. Be courteous. If somebody opens the door for you, say thank you. So these courtesies should also be reflecting in your writing. Yes, there will be a point in time when you will grow up, you'll be full of enthusiasm. The enthusiasm of youth will be very idealistic. The sagacity of experience will tone you down. But no matter what you do, be happy, keep writing, and putting out things into the world. Follow the process. Writing is something that develops over time. Go back to your teachers again and again and see how you can engage the people that you write with. So once again, I'm going to let Ishita talk about engaging people as a reader and people as a writer.
Hi again. Let's take a look at reader engagement. So I want to ask you one question. Basically, why are you writing? You're writing because you want people to read your work, right? So how will you ensure that what you have written is not lost and forgotten in this vast virtual space where nobody knows where your blog post is or what you've written about? No one will value or know what your post is unless you make the effort to engage your readers. And the engagement is a two-way process. When many readers habitually visit your blog post, share your post forward, give you comments, Google Baba will notice it. And they will move your blog page up in the search engine ranking. So when search engine optimization, you've heard the term SEO, right? Search engine optimization. So your page will move up in ranking for the number of people who are reading your posts and forwarding it and sharing it in some of the tips that you can be relatable. The previous slide, please. Yeah, be relatable. Put yourself in your reader's shoes. Like Sunil sir had said, you know, when you are shifting from the writer-centric to the reader-centric, put yourself in the reader's shoes and find out whether what you've written is going to be something that you will be connecting with the readers. Your content, of course, has to be informative, relevant, funny, or even quirky. I mean, there are people who write about really funny stuff, which is perfectly all right. And you must also let people know what to expect. Be original. We've already talked about it. And at the same time, why not be controversial? So I do remember we did have this whole essay writing in the school that I was with, whether schools should just do away with uniforms. So we had kids writing about whether uniforms are really necessary in this day and age. And we had wonderful views from different students about why uniforms should be there in school or shouldn't be there in school. And you must, on a regular basis, do read other people's blogs. It'll give you a very, very laterally and vertically deep understanding of what people are writing about. It could be writing posts which is related to your own topic. So know what your sphere is, your topic environment is, who's writing, what is their view, how are they sharing. You feel something different when you've written somebody else's, so you may add another post to what you've already written. So do go there and engage in call to action, which is when you have posted, you are inviting people to comment on you. So receive their comments and don't forget to, again, respond back to those comments. Either saying thank you for all the wonderful words you've written, or somebody has sent you a little tip or a link saying, hey, you know what, I loved your post and I read something similar, here's a link to it. So you must thank that person for that link, which is going to take you into somebody else's post, which you may not have found when you were doing your research. And of course, don't forget, for reader engagement, it's very important that you link your blog post to your other social media handles. If you're on Facebook, Insta, Snapchat, FB, whatever, make sure that those handles are also linked to your blog post. So this brings us to the last slide, which is about bearing in mind what you must do and what you mustn't do. So most of the points are something that we have covered, but don't forget, you must have a very catchy title. It's like the headline in a newspaper news article, right? Catchy title, and your blog title and the SEO title shouldn't be more than 60 characters long. Otherwise, the person is just going to get lost reading the title and wondering what the hell it's all about. The focus keywords, that means your essential keywords which repeat through your blog, should be there in the title, and it should repeat in the blog as well. Because when somebody is searching on the topic, this is what is going to immediately pick out your blog post from those 600 million that are already moving around over there, right? And related keywords which are linked to your focus keywords should also feature in your article. We've already covered about the structure, arrange it nicely with your headers, subheaders, and all that. Add proper images, consistency in formatting. Don't play around with too many variations of formatting your blog post, because then, it's like when you read the word Amul or you see a particular insignia, the logo and your mind immediately connects with what that particular brand is all about. So when you have consistency in color, format, and the way you present your blog, people immediately connect with, oh, that's so-and-so's blog. Interlink your blog posts if you have written about the same thing or you're addressing the external websites. Make sure that your external sites, your external links in your blog posts don't open in the same window. So there are tools which will help you to do that. If somebody clicks on that link, it should open another window on your on the computer, because otherwise your reader is going to get lost about where they had come in from, and they may not get back to your original blog post and read the rest of the article. So take care about that. Always put categories. If you have written about food and you've specifically written about desserts, then put tags and categories which speak about what your blog actually comes under, right? So if I'm searching on desserts, I'll go exclusively to your blog. Food is just too wide a topic. You may even categorize it as food, desserts, cheesecakes. So that's like really refining it on the search, right? Always preview and test before you finally hit the publish button. Preview and test what your post is going to look like before you hit publish. And of course, remember, people will come and visit your blog site and read your blogs or your written articles only if you keep updating your blogs frequently. So I know your students, you may not have the time, but try and see if you can regularly engage with your readers. Reader engagement is equally important. These are some of the avoidable don'ts. We've covered a lot through all the aspects that we've spoken about. But yeah, the length is important. And I think for you students, a blog post could be around 800 to 1200 words is a good enough start for you. When you when you get older, or professional bloggers, they write up to 2500, 3000 word articles as well. And the research ones are even longer. Don't put too many visuals. Not too many jarring colors. It has to be pleasant for the eye to take in. It has to be soothing. And we've already spoken about a lot of these points. It's all listed over there. The last 2 points I'm going to again say, because Sunil sir has spoken about it. Don't let the critical remarks get to you. It's just another person's point of view. And I'm sure you have this discussion at your home at the dining table when maybe your father feels something, your mother feels something differently, and you have a totally radically different opinion about it, which is fine. That doesn't mean your father or mother have stopped loving you or they hate you. No, it's just a different perspective. So take it very healthily and respond equally healthily. Say, I completely appreciate that you have this point of view, but through my experience, this is what I feel. And just in case you are hitting a little bit of a challenge or a little bit of a hiccup when you start, don't give up, because persistence pays and practice makes you perfect, right? So thank you. And this has been a very, very nice session. And we've also got to learn a lot about you through our Mentimeter experience. So I'm going to now invite Nidhi ma'am to take over for the question and answer session.
Can I just come in for a moment?
Sunil.
Can I just come in for a moment?
Please do.
Well, children, there was one thing that I forgot to mention was, when you use language, please work on your vocabulary skills. Please work on having a decent vocabulary. It should not be, when you write something, people wonder, like they say in, UP, I'm from Uttar Pradesh. So in Lucknow, they say, wo kya bola re? So it has to be comprehended by the user. So your vocabulary should be good. Do not use unnecessary expressions. You're all based in Mumbai. So if it's the season for rains, it would be easier for you to go and get an umbrella than procure a precipitation protection contrivance. So don't use words that sound very nice. Use simple words. And, I was thinking, like ma'am said, 800 to 1,000 words. You could even write less than that. Your poems could be shorter than that.
Absolutely.
For example, I was watching the whole session and some thoughts came to my mind. That 90 people participated, few spoke, the others listened. Some yawned, some frowned, some looked hither-thither, some stared at the screen smiling. We all learned something about each other. That could also work.
So great. Thank you so much, Mr. Mansingh and Ishita ma'am, for a wonderful session. So children, what do you think? Lot of ideas? So do you have any questions? Yeah? No questions, nothing. You want to say something? We can unmute you. Please share your thoughts. How are you feeling after a 1-hour session on blog writing? Is this what you wanted us to cover? Have you learned something? And what is it that you have learned? Would you like to share with us, please? You can raise your hands, I'll unmute you and we can talk. Or you can just enter it in the chat box if you wish to, give us a feedback on the session. So I'll make your life a little easier. You can just maybe give us a feedback, or if you need any clarity. Okay, Jeel, I think would like to say something. Jeel, I'll just unmute you, okay? So, you vanished. Jeel, can you please raise your hand? All right, I see you. Yeah, right. So, please unmute yourself.
Yes, miss, I liked this session. It was very engaging.
So what did you like in particular about the session, Jeel?
About the blogging part.
Okay, so the entire session was on blog, but what part of the blog writing did you like? So is there any idea that struck your mind that you're going to start using from now on?
Miss, I'll think about it.
Sure. So when you think about it, when you have your ideas, collated in your mind, will you be able to send us an email? Maybe through Prachi ma'am, you can send us an email. We would definitely like to hear from you. Yeah?
Okay, miss, I will.
Okay, anyway, thank you so much, Jeel. Anybody else? Okay, there are 2 hands being raised. I just try to figure out who that person is.
Nidhi ma'am, can we have a raise of hands of children who are already blogging?
Oh, yes, please. Sachi, you can unmute yourself and please talk. Share your thoughts, please.
Yes, miss. I have a doubt. So is there any particular app to see the people who have posted their blogs, or even we can post? Is there any app to see the bloggings? Because I don't know it.
Sorry, what you said is there any app? So basically there are blog sites galore. So basically you get identified by your own site. So there are 2 ways to blog. One is you have an exclusive blogging site, which, as I said, if you want to start off, you can try Wixie, or you can try hosting it through Bluehost by WordPress, right? Otherwise, there are organizations who have a blog site which is built into the web page, very much like ours. So in our company, QEDRAK.com, we have the blog as an option within the website. And many of you kids, you have had a complete session which is going to motivate and inspire you into writing, because I believe many of you are from the literary club. But as you know, expressions can be in so many ways, right? When you talk about expressing yourself, you can express through your written word. You can also express by speaking, and you can also express through drama. And I'm sure your school, Bombay Scottish School, is giving you all the opportunity to be able to do that. So if any of you feel by chance that you maybe are a little hesitant about your prowess in writing, your skills in writing, and whether you really have the flair, why don't you try podcast? So podcast is also about sharing, your feelings, your ideas, your opinions. But again, for that, you need to write the script and then record your voice in the podcast so that only the audio part of it goes out and it's not the written word which is going. So there are wonderful ways to express yourself. Don't stop expressing yourself. I think that is one of the most amazing things that we can gift you with. So we don't want to tell you stop talking in the class. Yes, in the class when things are in motion, yes, you need to be a little quiet. But don't stop yourself from expressing through any manner that you think is appropriate. You want to dance, you want to play an instrument, you want to do drama, you want to write, you want to sing, or you want to have a podcast and blog, right?
Yes, Miss. Miss, could you just please write the name in the chat box for the apps?
Yeah. So you can try Wixie. So that is Wixie, and you can try Bluehost by WordPress, right? Those are the simple ones. It's not very complicated. And once you become a little, advanced into blogging, you will find that your blogging page can have a lot of plugins. When I mean a plugin means it's another tool which you add on, which is going to make your blog management simpler. And some of the aspects about blog management, which will come later to you as you become a little more comfortable with blogging, is including analytics. When I'm talking about analytics, it means an analysis of the statistics of your blog page. How many posts you've had, how many readers have visited you, how many comments you've had, how many articles have been forwarded onward. So all those statistics will come out, which will give you an idea of how successful you are as a blogger. Yeah.
So next time, probably when we meet you, we would want to see your blogs as well. We would want to read your blogs. Right? So please, your blogging, all of you. I think Aditri wanted to ask, thank you so much, Sachi, for your question. Aditri, you wanted to ask something, right?
No, Miss, I just wanted to say that I really liked this session on blogging.
Wow, great. Thank you.
My favorite part was about the quotes part. It really makes it sound interesting. The whole blog sounded really interesting.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Anybody else who would like to speak? Wow. So Shivang says, I'm on YouTube, and I totally agree to the fact that we shouldn't fill our websites with words and pictures just to show. If it is simple and has a variety, it will usually be appealing.
Yes.
Be visually appealing, sorry.
Yeah.
Our page looks beautiful. The readers would love to continue on in the website. Wonderful.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you all know that YouTube is actually a video log, which is called Vlog, right? YouTube was the first Vlog service that came up.
Well, any other questions do you have? Do you have any questions? Anybody from Ms. Verma or Mr. Mansingh?
Just one thing that I wanted to mention to all of you. In case you do not want to put out your writing into the world at the moment because you are minors, because there are issues associated with that also. There are permissions that need to be acquired for you to be going online. So in case you don't want to do that, I'm sure the school has an intranet. You can put it out there. You can put it out there, contribute to your school webzine, your magazines, etc. Write. The essential idea is start writing. And Huffington Post per annum, or you have the Labnol chap from India making $80,000 per annum. But please understand, they have taken time to go there. Right now, your priority should be learning to express yourself without fear.
Yeah.
Do that. School is a wonderful place to make all the mistakes you want to. And believe me, once you're out of school, you will miss all the censuring which happens there. All the times you're tightened by your teachers. Don't do this, don't do that. But you will miss that. Right now, write. Express yourselves freely. Express yourselves freely. You will learn so much about your own self when you start talking. When you bare your own soul, like I was reading in the comments, there's this boy, Bihan Krishnan, he's writing a book. That's truly amazing. That is truly amazing. You would be about somewhere between 13, 14 years. If you're having the guts to go out and write a book, that is very commendable. Don't worry about whether it's going to be a bestseller. It's not going to be a bestseller. It's your baby. You'll put it out into the world. Curtain opens, and I gave it to her. I just wrote curtain opens and I gave it to her. She and I had a laugh about it. But then eventually I did sit down and write it. So start writing. It's not that big a monster as it is being made out to be. It is just you. All the thoughts, they are a part of you. All the little pieces of scraps and paper that you've hidden inside some copy or some book, they are you. Keep them safely. And if you feel confident enough, put them out into the world. There's a book called Notes to Myself by Hugh Prather. They're small scribblings that he has made. He's put them out. And it's become a bestseller. So you write. The idea is write well. No matter what is the medium you choose, the process will remain the same. And I'm sure we are looking at a budding writer here and a very successful set of writers. I would love to have some book which has been written by you, and I would love to have it in my personal collection and get it signed by you if we do meet. So carry on writing and all the very best.
Yeah, and I would like to add one finale point, and that is, in order to be a good writer, you have to be a good reader. So do continue reading the traditional way. Whether you read through Kindle on the ebooks or whether you actually, I love physically holding a book, smelling the pages, going back and forth. That's the way I love reading. Tucking into a corner with cushions behind my back. Be comfortable and read a lot. And like Notes to Myself, if you want to read a really nice book, especially for grade 6, 7, if you want to read Mr. God, This is Anna. That's a lovely book. If you want to read a book in which not too many adjectives, but very simple words have been used to portray the imagery behind what the person was going through, then you must read The Old Man and the Sea. That's a wonderfully written book. And these are all classics. They will come through generations from our time into your time. And I'm sure the serious book readers in your group will also enjoy the literary aspects of these writings. They are just amazing. And if you're about 17, 18, which I would assume you would be around in grade 12, 11, 12, 16, 17, 18, you might also like to read what journalistic diary entries were like in, it may be a little morbid because it was for the war, but you would know. She writes about the war and particularly about her community, which was very badly discriminated because she was a Jew in Germany, right? So there are lovely books to read. Go ahead, explore different genres of writing, styles of writing, and develop your own.
And like Ishita ma'am said, be a
for a good writer, good reader the person has to be a good reader. And it's a very good point on the National Reading Month. This is a National Reading Month happening.
Yes.
And I really appreciate the way you have given all the points, whatever you have covered. You have covered a lot of points, both of you. You have enlightened our students and the teachers, all of us, for many things in the blog writing, editorial effects and all that. Then you have mentioned, I really appreciate that the potential writer has to understand what the potential reader is, what he requires, and then the person can become a good writer. There are quite many points which we have noted down. Definitely looking forward for many more such workshops from you both. And yes, thank you, Collins, for sharing this thought, sharing this resources, sharing this kind of a great workshop for my students and for our school benefit. I'm sure my students and teachers have learned a lot from you. Thank you so much. I will not take much time, though there are a lot of things to talk about this workshop, but we'll definitely have, I request you both to have another session with us yes, definitely we are having a blog, a school blog is in the process. We are actually, there are a lot of things happening on that, and this will help all of us to enhance our blog page. Thank you so much. Thanks, Nidhi and the team.
Good luck to all of you. Happy blogging.
Happy blogging,
All the best.
everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. And thank you, dear children. Have a good evening. Enjoy blogging, all of you. Thank you.